Hi, this is David C. Jones for Before the Curtain Goes Up. And the curtain's going up and then going down really quickly because there's only one show of this show that has been touring around North America, well, Canada, maybe North America, I'm not too sure. Joylyn, hello.
Hi.
The show is called Moaning Yoni,
The Moaning Yoni.
the Moaning Yoni. And this is a show you've been doing for a while. You stopped during the pandemic and you're doing this one-off show. So why is that?
Well, I'm going to be producing the Moaning Yoni at the Nest on Granville Island on February 3rd at 7:30 p.m. And I'm going to be filming the show. I'm hoping to continue touring the show internationally in the future. And so this is a moment for me to get a really nice updated recording of the production to to lead to
It's a marketing.
performances.
You're doing it to dust it off and also to do it as a little bit of a marketing tool as well.
Of course. And also, like, throughout the past few years, I haven't performed the show due to the pandemic, and I've been doing other projects as well. And during that time, I've done a lot of like movement training and mime training. And so I'm using some of my new skills to embellish and improve the show as well. So
You've grown as an artist.
yeah, absolutely. And every time I perform the show, it continues to evolve as I evolve as a person. And so that's why it's really exciting to like revive it and bring it back
Yeah.
year after year.
Yeah, and this show is highly personal. I sometimes say a lot of one-person shows are something interesting happened to me once, and but this one's quite unique because this is it's about sex or sort of not. Explain the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. So the show, what like birthed the idea of the show was my own experience during my early 20s when I was in university. And I was discovering my own sexuality, and now I identify as on the asexual spectrum, meaning that I don't experience sexual attraction or very rarely. And so during that time, I was just trying to figure out like, oh, all my peers are like, having sex or like dating. And it wasn't something that felt something that I wanted, but I was kind of experimenting and figuring out like who I was and what I wanted in life. And so I had this whole like environment of like university and hookup culture. And then I was also practicing yoga and like discovering my like spirituality and figuring that stuff out. So I was very involved in like a new age kind of spirituality type community as well. And so those two worlds, although they're so opposing, had very similar messaging around sexuality and around heteronormativity. And so I had all these messages of like, oh, I'm supposed to be this certain way, and like flying at me from all these directions. And so that's what inspired the show. And the story of the show, it's set in a yoni healing circle, this sort of led by this woman, Crystal, who's this very like spiritual guru lady. And she guides everyone to put this magical elixir on their yonis, their vulvas. And this main character, Zoe, who's inspired by my own experiences, puts this elixir on her yoni, and she starts like tripping out and has this like wild experience going to these different flashbacks, different moments of her life. So there's different scenes, and I play 17 different characters in the show. And I switch between characters really fast. There's dances, there's songs, and I dance and sing as the different characters. It's very comedic, very like really over the top and like ridiculous, but also with like deeper themes that I think are very important to me, and I hope resonate with many people as well.
I'm not really sure about my intention, but I guess it would be to listen to my yoni. I'm a lonely yoni. kind of like all you can eat, but for hair removal.
I mean, look at me. I'm red and hairy. I'm a monster. She stuffs me in the prison of her lycra thong.
I feel so connected to oneness.
I like long walks on the beach with my girlfriend. Till the LSD wears off and I realize I'm dragging a stolen mannequin around a Wendy's parking lot. And I'm thinking about you.
Well, it's been touring for so long, it must be resonating with people, because if you've done your first performance of it and the audience was like, woo, and walking out of it, then you wouldn't have gone, well, I guess I'll do this somewhere else and see if someone else likes it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been having a really fantastic response over the years, and people, like all sorts of people, really connect to it, although it is like based on my experiences as an asexual person. Like a lot of like women who date men really relate to some of the like icky or ridiculous things that happen to the character in the show. Also queer people really resonate with the show, like not just asexual people, but all kinds of queer people, because it's like this idea of like heteronormativity not fitting with your own experience. And so that's, yeah, something that I've seen resonate with a lot of people. And also I think like toxic masculinity and like gendered expectations, that like affects every single person in the world. And so I think anyone who has like an open mind will really connect and resonate with aspects of the show.
Right, nice. Yeah, one of the things, that a word that you said that struck me as you were talking about developing the show, is when in your personal life how you were experimenting. But I think wouldn't it be like, as asexual you would be not experimenting?
Yeah, I mean, like before I figured out I was asexual, like I had some sexual experiences, and
Okay.
like you know, they're very varied levels of positive or negative. So yeah, I mean, I think I was just trying to figure out what I wanted.
Right.
And I think a lot of us go through things that maybe in hindsight weren't something that we really wanted. But if you have like, if you're being told this is what you should do, then
So you go and try it. You go,
yeah, you're like,
okay.
well, I guess this is what everyone does, and I should try it out. So
They seem so happy in the Coca-Cola commercial. I guess.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I think it's important also to talk about. I think with asexuality, it's probably an identity that's less known about as well. And maybe there's like certain kinds of stereotypes about it. And I think I break a lot of those stereotypes in the show as well. And just showing like I'm a full person, like with lots of thoughts and feelings. And yeah, I think also just because the show's so like trippy and weird, like it probably strays a little from like maybe the stereotypes around asexuality.
You're such a joyous personality and joyous person that I can only assume that the show is also a very joyous experience. Now, and one of the things that's interesting, and we're almost out of time, but your dad directed this. So
Yeah.
is that part of the reason why you approached him, was because you are dealing with something that's very also personal to you? So you needed to create a nest around you a little bit while you were developing this by using someone who loves you and who you love very much? Is that
Yes.
or
Well, It actually kind of began in a very unexpected way. I first started creating the show. I took actually TJ Daw, he has his course creating a solo show. So I actually originally took his course when I was starting to come up with some ideas. I knew I wanted to make a show about asexuality, but I didn't really know what the story or the container for the story would be. And then after that course, I worked with a couple other directors for very short amounts of time, starting to develop things. The first director was too busy, and so ended up dropping the project. And then the other director wanted to cut everything and restart. And I only had like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something. And so I was very stressed because my first production of the show was at the Toronto Fringe Festival. And I was like, I have 3 weeks and I only have 20 minutes of material. And I was like, So my dad was like, I can help you. We can do this. So we like added in like half the show in like 2 weeks and rehearsed it. And also I've worked with my dad since I was like 5 years old as a performer. My dad was a high school drama teacher as his career as I was growing up. And so because of that, like when I was like little, I would go to like the theater and I would watch rehearsals. And like the first time when I was 5, he was like, why don't you just be in the show? Would you like to be in the show? And I was like, yeah. So then I got to be in shows with him, different musicals throughout my childhood.
What show were you in when you were 5? What show were you in?
It was a devised show. It was called Earth, Air, Fire, and Water. And I was in the war group. So there was like a war and we were doing like movement. I was really like, I was really like a hippie child. So I was like, ooh, like, you know,
I am war.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how it started. And then I played Randolph, the little boy in Bye Bye Birdie. And I played a tormentor in Jesus Christ Superstar, and yeah, lots of other shows. But
nice.
So that's kind of how I started out with acting as well. And
so
yeah,
you had a creative relationship with him.
Totally. Yeah. And he really knows me as an artist, and he knows like what my skills are as a performer, because I'm not just like an actor, but I also dance and I do mime and I do like puppetry, and I'm really good with like characters and like fast paced, like switching things and like physical precision. And so all those skills are things that my dad like knows in my work and is able to like bring out of me. So I think that's what makes him an incredible director, is he's able to like see my strengths and like help me like nurture those strengths in the show.
So, okay, wait, now I understand that you aren't on the stage by yourself. You're sort of on the stage by yourself when you're on the stage, but there's going to be a special guest involved as well. What's going on there?
Yes, my friend who is a drag performer, Continental Breakfast, is going to be hosting the evening, and they will be performing a drag number to open the show.
So you have sort of like a curtain warmer, I think they used to call it.
Yeah, an opening act.
Well, hey, you get 12 seconds. You're going to look directly at the camera, and you're going to sell this show, because you're only doing one show. So you have to get that sense of urgency. And you got to get that sense of what's in it for me, right? Because that's always with marketing. They got to go, what's in it for me? Why should I take time out of my schedule to go down and see this show, right? So get ready. You got about 12 seconds. That's all you need. Look right at the camera and go. Action.
Okay. The Moaning Yoni is a physical comedy, music, dance, puppetry, and a talking vulva. You're in for a good time.
Nice. I just love, you know what I love best about you, my friend, is that you always talk like you are about to giggle. So
it's probably because I am about to giggle.
Yeah. Well, it was wonderful talking with you, and thank you so much. I'm gonna join the audience and moan away.
Great.
Well, you touch your yoni. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.